All right, welcome to the very first episode of the Evolve Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Christina Carpio. For today's inaugural episode, we're thrilled to have a very special guest with us, a Canadian filmmaker, director, a familiar face on the biggest red carpets, best known for capturing the glitz and the glamour with his glamBOT. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Cole Walliser. How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad that you joined us. First episode. This is we wanted to pick someone really special and we're so grateful to have you, Cole.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So the goal of this podcast, Cole, is to help for us to help people navigate change, and we want to inspire our listeners, give valuable insights into what it takes to not only survive but thrive. And I would love to do a deeper dive into your experiences, perspectives, and growth in life. And you have a very inspiring journey, and we want to learn all about you today.
Great.
So
Do it.
let's get right into it. So you're originally from Vancouver, and you were actually a psychology major before diving into filmmaking and creative work. So let's talk about how you got into, or how do you think your psychology background kind of influenced your creative process as a filmmaker?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think it actually does a lot. Yeah, I grew up in Vancouver, and so I went to UBC and I studied psychology.
Mm.
I think I took away a couple things from that experience. One is like work ethic. I think if I moved to LA like out of high school, I wouldn't know how to work hard. Like I really discovered how to work hard sort of during final season, going to school, right? Midterms and things.
Yeah.
You learn how to buckle down. So that was super valuable. But then the idea of psychology is really how people perceive and understand the world around them. And this includes being exposed to different sort of media, different stories, storytelling, how people understand things,
Mhm.
perceive things, and like feel about things. So I use the information I learned and just sort of generally like how to think about communication and perception. I use those things in a subtle way to my advantage as a director. So it's not like super tangible one to one, but I do think a lot of the ideas about how people act and how people behave and how we understand the world around us is really applicable to my work as a director.
So, when you were in school in psychology, you already had a passion for filmmaking? Is that what it was? And then you decided to just finish your program and
Yeah,
get
yeah,
right
yeah,
into
yeah.
it? Okay.
Filmmaking passion started at a young age. I had a camera in my hand. I learned how to edit like on two VCRs back in the day, and this is sort of like what got me interested. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I discovered that I enjoyed creating things and I enjoyed sharing them, right?
Mhm.
Which is funny because this is 20 years before social media, but that's basically what it was. Like I liked making stuff and I like sharing it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just kept learning and like shooting stuff with my friends and like making little videos. And this was just always like a side thing. But as I was in university, I was working and I saved up money and I bought a good camera and I got a computer and I started really like with the intention of maybe doing like little jobs. Like, okay, like I want to like I know I like this enough to like spend some time and energy like learning.
Yeah.
And so I got the equipment during university and would just shoot little jobs, shoot fun little things with my friends and just slowly tried to like build a career. And then I got to the point as I was graduating, I was like, okay, I can stay here in Vancouver and like try to break into the industry here or move to LA. And I sort of realized that they don't really hire directors from Vancouver. And I sort of
Mm.
wanted to afford myself all the opportunity I could. So I was like, okay, I think at this point I need to go to LA. So that's sort of like when I made the decision to move to LA.
Interesting. And speaking of LA, what was the turning point when you realized that you had, obviously it's been a journey for you to get from Vancouver to LA. Was there a turning point in your career that you had truly realized that you made it in Hollywood? Was there a specific moment that solidified your place in the industry?
Not really. I think the one thing that I kind of realized is that everybody always feels like an outsider no matter what level you're at. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that for a long time, uh, eh, eh, it takes a while. I think it just takes a while for you to feel that way. Even so, like it's not like I feel like I'm an insider now, but it's more like I feel like I have job security. Like, okay, like I can keep doing this. It feels like I can probably keep doing this for a little while since it's been 16 or 17 years. But there was a point at which I bought a house in LA based off like making videos. And I was like, okay, like this must mean something. Like this is a sort of a monumental moment that I was able to like move to the States, find enough success to like buy property, buy land. So that was definitely a big moment. Yeah, but it's always sort of like evolving and changing, and moments
Right.
of feeling really ground zero, like at the Oscars, and then moments of feeling where you're kind of like out of the loop. You know what I mean? It all
Yeah.
you get all the experiences, right?
We'll get it right into that for sure. Well, now many people dream of working, with A-list celebrities, and you've done a lot of amazing projects even before, your glamBOT career. What were some of the early challenges you faced in your career that you can share with us, and how did you stay motivated and push
I mean,
forward?
early challenges is probably just finding work as
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
creative freelancer. Like that is a big challenge,
Yeah.
right? Finding work. I'm trying to think more like broadly, like that. Yeah, it's just always like growing the career and like trying to get it to take the trajectory that you want. This is always a challenge, right? And
Mm,
and I guess the one thing that I learned is that like along the way, I'm faced with the exact same challenge I was a long time ago because I'm still trying to get jobs that are good for me at this phase of my career. I'm still
yeah.
trying to do other things that I've never done before at this stage of my career. And this is in some level exactly the same. Now, I may be further ahead from where I was, but I'm still trying to make the best decisions to get along my path.
Right.
And I realized that it's really a direct line. It's not like I'm like, oh, I've done like these Hollywood DGA
Mm,
jobs and now everything's different. It's still the same thing. I
right.
just have more experience and more time and more resources now. But the
Mm,
idea of like, I'm trying to position myself to make the best decision for my career is exactly the same as like
yeah.
literally day one showing up in LA, you know?
Right. And I didn't know that you were a hip hop dance and break teacher.
Mhm.
Like I
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
that. That's amazing. You were also a DJ. You played in clubs in Vancouver and LA. I
I
mean,
did.
where did you even fit that in your life? And speaking of constantly evolving, like how do you ensure that you're constantly evolving in your career? You've obviously gone to many different directions.
Yeah, I've always been someone that sort of like chases my interests, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of have believed that like if if there's something that if you're good at something, you can find a way to sort of like monetize it, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm good enough at like DJing, I can get a job DJing a party or a club or whatever. If I'm good enough at dancing, I can either perform or I can teach. If I'm good enough at directing, I can get someone to like hire me to make something for them. And if these are things that I enjoy, the time it takes to get good will be an enjoyable process
Mm,
for the most part. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I've always sort of decided to kind of just like chase my interests and my
Mhm.
pursuits. And this started early. This started early actually with skateboarding. Like I used to be a sponsored skateboarder and snowboarder when I was younger.
Wow.
And I think that this really afforded me the idea that if I do something well, I can get things from it. So because I was quite young. I think I was sponsored when I was 12, maybe, by like a
Wow.
local skate shop in Richmond. And
Mhm.
then I got other sponsors throughout being like 13, 14, 15. And at school, like I would get recognition and sort of notoriety because I was a good skateboarder and I would do
Yeah.
tricks and people would be impressed. And I kind of realized that I could do something kind of out of the system. Like I wasn't like star basketball player or like star
Yeah.
academic, but I was getting the attention in the same kind of a way. You know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
think I kind of like planted the seed that like, oh, I can go do something and do it well, and then like cool things can happen. Like who knows what, but like something could happen because I think I learned that from skateboarding. And so I
Hmm.
think I just sort of applied that to everything that I did as my interests changed. As I started dancing and DJing and doing music and stuff,
Hmm.
I just figured if I do well at this, then maybe there's some opportunity there.
I'm
And there
curious.
was. And then the thing with filmmaking is just like I've just never lost interest, and that's just the thing that I keep doing to this day, you know?
I'm curious on your family background because for me, I came from the Philippines to escape poverty. And, I came here, I didn't speak, English that well. I wanted to be a broadcaster. I read the English dictionary repeatedly to learn the language. It was quite a journey. And, I wanted to live a different life coming here. So my drive was different when I came here. So I worked really hard. So I'm wondering what your background was like. You grew up in Vancouver, and did
Yeah,
you have strong family support? Is that where, this motivation came from? Like you're so driven to just go for it.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, my family definitely supported me in the sense of that. like both my parents encouraged me to do what I enjoyed and to be passionate and to
Yeah.
try hard and to work hard at what I'm doing. And I think I had a bit of what you're mentioning when I moved to the States because
Mhm.
like that was like, well, not only did I have to get a lawyer and there was a huge expense and there was a time limit, like my visa was for 3 years, I had a time limit at which I had to sort of quote unquote prove myself. So there's a lot of pressure there, which I think was in some regard helpful. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where like inherently it came from. My family, my mom has expressed to me all of her reservations about me moving to another country to pursue the arts later in life, in which she was obviously quite nervous, sort of rightfully
Yeah.
so. But the
Yeah.
thing that I really appreciate that she did was she was like, she made it a point to not let me be aware of it
Mm.
for I think like just a couple years. I don't know what it was. I think she told herself she's like, I'm gonna give him like 2 years. I'm not gonna say when he coming home or like anything that would like make me doubt myself, I
Yeah.
guess, or like make me
She was
wonder
pretty
about like
trusting. Pretty
yeah,
trusting
yeah, yeah. But
mom.
she, she was freaking out every month, whether I earned enough money to live out here. But
Yeah.
the thing that she did that I really do appreciate was her just not letting me be privy to that, so I could go
Mhm.
like discover my own thing, and so that was super helpful. But my parents have always been hugely supportive in my endeavors back then, and then of course now it's just like this cool
Yeah.
exciting thing
Oh,
now.
I'm sure they're
Um,
so proud of you. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Now let's get into networking and, building relationships. Relationships you've obviously worked with some of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Not only you see them on the red carpet, you've actually worked with them and collaborated with them, like Miley, Selena, Pink, Katy Perry. Very impressive list, Cole. What is your approach to building meaningful relationships in an industry where networking is key, and how do you maintain them?
That's a tricky and interesting question. I think that I've always just felt that like if you are a good person to work with,
Hmm.
like we've all worked with a bunch of individuals, and in the number of people that you've worked with, there's probably a handful that you would go, I will work with them anytime. I love this person, like maybe not this person so much or whatever, but there's a few people like in everybody's orbit that they go, like whatever they want, I'm down. Because I know they
Hmm.
like work hard, they're like trusting, they're creative, and it's like they don't cut any corners and they're just like good people that work hard.
Hmm.
So understanding that, I'm like, okay, if I can be that person to everybody or the
Hmm.
best I can,
Yeah.
then it's like I don't see why I wouldn't be able to like build these connections, right? So just this idea of like working hard, being good to work with, being mindful, it just inherently I think is gonna have your network kind of extend and hopefully be people that you kind of grow together with and have long-term working relationships with. That was
Yeah.
kind of the intent. And then, just being like authentic to you and trying to do that to the best of your ability. It's that seemed to have worked for me.
Right.
And I guess that's kind of broadly my approach, I'd say.
That's amazing. Now, given your success, do you practice like any specific techniques for visualization or manifestation or goal setting that kind of helped you where you are today? Do you believe in manifestation?
Um, yes and no. There's been periods where I have, it's like I've definitely made. I'll say this: I believe in manifestation insofar, like not in the woo-woo sense,
Yeah.
right? But in the sense of like, if I'm reminded of my goals and sort of if I have cues around me in my life that tap into the feeling and the drive that those goals create in me, that is a tangible thing that can keep you on track, motivated, and focused, right? So in that sense, something like a vision board is super tangibly beneficial because you're looking at it going, that's what I want. And you're reminded
Mhm.
and you're like, I'm gonna work. And because I think fundamentally, like your life is determined in your minute decisions. It's what you
Yeah.
make on these little tiny decisions day to day. Because yes, I can decide to like pursue some big dream, but if I don't make the daily decisions to get myself there, like it's not happening, right?
Hmm.
So manifesting now, be it a vision board or sort of like meditation, reciting mantras, things that keep you sort of your goals in mind, I think are very, very beneficial. I'm not counting out the woo-woo stuff completely, but I do know they tangibly help in that
Hmm.
regard. So I do think that that it's beneficial. I've gone through phases where I do this. I typically will review goals around the new year all the time, and I'll make a big list, career-wise, personal-wise, health-wise. Like I
Great.
write down sort of different goals, and I actually pin an alarm in my calendar at the first of
Oh.
every month, kind of like just go through them and read them. Sometimes I
Hmm.
don't read them when they pop up. Sometimes I do. But I think keeping yourself accountable is a good way.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then I check them off at the end of the year and I write new ones, basically.
Sounds good. And speaking of vision boards, did you ever had the glamBOT in your vision board, or did that just like happen?
Yeah, no, I def never had the glamBOT in my vision board. I don't think
Yeah.
I would have known what it was at any time. I didn't know what it was until I started doing it, really,
Yeah.
right?
Let's make it clear that you didn't invent the glamBOT.
I
The
did not invent
glamBOTs
the glamBOT.
exist because everyone thinks
They
you're the
didn't really
glamBOT guy.
exist. The camera system existed,
Right.
and the robot arm existed, and the system we use to shoot talent existed, but the
Mm,
fact of shooting talent on the red carpet, I guess, didn't exist, right?
right.
But the system is a system used in like film production all the time, right? So that
Hmm.
system is used. The glamBOT is actually an e-term because they sort of invented the application on the red carpet.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but yeah, it's sort
Was
of
it on,
the
it wasn't
lore.
on
The
your
lore goes
vision board. It
was
wasn't
not
on
on my
your
vision board. No,
vision.
no.
Now, let's go back to the red carpet. So I know you get asked this a lot. Like your most memorable or favorite glamBOT moment on the red carpet.
There's a couple, but
Hmm.
one that really stands out is the one with Brad Pitt in 2020. Because like I for me, I grew up watching his movies. Like as big as celebrities as like Ariana Grande and like Billie Eilish are, I didn't like grow up listening to their music,
Yeah.
but Brad Pitt, I like grew up watching his movies. So for me to meet him and for him to do an awesome glam bot and for him to be super cool, this was like a big moment for younger Cole, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that one definitely stands out. And then I do think that the first Ariana Grande, the Grammys, that same year, I think, 2020,
Hmm.
was one of the best glam bots I've ever shot. So
And I
that's a
love how I love when they're there, like you wouldn't necessarily think that it's going to be like a wow moment, but for example, Billie Eilish, the smallest movements it just made a big difference. Like watching in at the Oscars in 2022, her glam bot, I was just like, she didn't do much. She was just like, and then, the glam
yeah.
bot was just phenomenal. I was like, holy cow, where'd
Yeah,
that come
I
from?
use that one as an example of that. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to do much because I do tend to try to push for bigger movement,
Yeah.
right? Because like it is easier in a sense if you have this big dress, it's like flowing. That's always going to be cool in slow motion. So that's sort of like a high probability of it being cool. But as Billie Eilish and a few others have demonstrated, like sometimes like the smallest movement can be the most like magical glam bot. So you
So
never
we,
really know.
we we
That's kind of what
see
makes it fun.
we see you directing them, right? Before the shot. Do they actually listen to you? Like actually
I
take
don't know. You tell
your
me. I
advice?
mean, you guys see the footage too, so you tell me.
I mean, they're all amazing, like at the end, but we can see you directing them, how to move and things like that. But do you see them actually following through?
It depends. I
Just
think it's kind
depends.
of like yeah, it's kind of like 50-50. I think a lot of the times, I think actually a lot of the times talent doesn't actually know what they're gonna do until I call action.
Right.
So like I'll be like, "Oh, maybe this, maybe that." And they're yeah, yeah, okay, okay, like and I know sometimes I know they don't know. Like
Yeah.
I know they're going like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." Because I know that, but to me, that tells me that they're confident enough to like whip out something like whatever comes out is gonna be cool. Like I know that they know that like whatever's gonna happen is gonna be cool. So
Uh-huh.
it's like I get the sense that like, okay, let me not push them to like for them to tell me exactly what it's gonna be. Let's just like roll it because I can sense
Yeah.
that like they know they're gonna do something, and then I call action and then they do something, and it's almost always really cool, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of my job is like kind of trying to suss out what like when to push, when not to push,
Mm.
when we're just gonna roll the dice and see what happens, kind of a thing. That I think is sort of like more my job rather than prescribing a specific move, which I generally tend not to do because like if I tell you to put your arm a certain way, it might be foreign in your body, it might look weird. So I try
Right.
not to do that too much.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you guide them and then it's up to them like what to do. And as well if they haven't done it before, right? If it's their first time, then you give them a little bit of direction. But going back to wellness, you mentioned wellness earlier. Like how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance? You're obviously a very busy person? And how do you ensure that you're taking care of yourself physically and mentally?
It's always a balance trying to,
A balance and a battle, wouldn't you say?
yeah, a balance and a battle, and trying to maintain a level of sustainability in your work-life balance. The thing that I think has helped because yeah, it's always a battle. It's always these things are somewhat in opposition where you're like, I could work, but I need to chill, or I need to take a break, or I could work harder. And recognizing that you'll go through phases, and I think both of these phases are really important, where you're like really hyper focused, really driven, putting a lot of things to the side to like achieve the thing that you want to achieve. And then there's moments where, you're taking a step back. You're like either overwhelmed or you need some time and you're really like taking whatever the time is. This could be an hour in a day or 2 weeks or like 2 months where you're
Yeah.
kind of or just like I am just taking a break. I'm not going to stress over like all these things I want to accomplish, like knowing that you will get back to a phase of like really pushing hard. I think sometimes you do need to kick yourself in the butt if those periods last too long.
Hmm.
But I do think it's valuable to recognize that it's going to ebb and flow. And the idea that you're always hammering it to like get accomplish what you want to accomplish is not a good way of thinking, nor
Mm.
is it that always gonna try to nail that perfect work-life balance and hit that exactly on the dot all the time, because that I think is unachievable. I
Hmm.
think it's sort of recognizing that you're going to ebb and flow in between like pushing really hard and then sitting back and kind of just taking a moment. I think that that's all fine. You just sort of maybe
Yeah.
should set like duration periods because you also don't want to like grind for too long. You don't want to chill
Yeah.
for too long, whatever that means to you, if it's in a day or like a week or a month or whatever. But just yeah, understanding that those ebb and flow, and then try not to go
Mhm.
too far in one direction, right?
Right,
Like, I don't want
right.
to go too far chill mode or too far like grind mode.
Yeah.
'Cause I think then it's hard to re-steer the ship a little bit.
So finding the balance for sure, yeah, because I don't like getting too comfortable. And then,
Yeah,
yeah, I love what you said there. Now, looking back in your career, Cole, was there any like biggest risk that you remember that you took and then it paid off?
I mean, moving to LA.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
yeah,
That
that was
was
probably
quite
the
a
biggest risk.
process, wasn't
Yeah.
it, for you?
It was a process. The
Yeah.
whole year immigration was a process. I do think it paid off in the end, so that is, I
Mhm.
can confidently say that now. Other than that, I mean, there's moments where I've shifted my career, where I do think this sort of end result still is kind of like, because it always trying to getting me to where I am today.
Hmm.
But there was no like, let me remortgage my house to buy like a camera. Like there was nothing like that. But it was sort of like, when I first moved to LA, I was editing a lot because those are the
Mm.
jobs I could get. And
Yeah.
then there was a moment where I was like, hey, look, I'm gonna try to not edit because I'm gonna try to pay money to someone who can edit so I can
Mm.
focus on like my next directing job. And this was like in essence costing me money because I'm working less and I'm paying out someone, but it sort of afforded me time and energy to like build the directing career. So that was like a risk, you know what I mean? Like I could either keep, you always, when you're freelance, it's like you want to work as
Yeah.
much as you can, but I'm trying to position myself to get to where I want to get to. And sometimes you sort of have to like let some things go to like open up time or energy to focus on something else. So even small things like that of like, okay, I'm going to stop editing to like focus more on directing, or I'm going to stop DJing just completely to just focus on like editing and directing.
Mhm.
So those types of decisions I think were some forms of risk. Um, and then I mean I definitely have like invested in camera gear and stuff where at the time you're like, oh geez, it's a lot of money,
Yeah.
and somewhat of a risk, but I think it's all sort of paid off in the end.
And did you envision yourself being in front of the camera? Because you were always behind the camera.
Oh really? No, no, I never
How do
envisioned
you
that.
like it? Because I know some people are just not, a fan of being on camera. I mean, obviously it's such a fun job. Like, are you loving
Yeah,
it?
I am definitely loving it, but it takes time getting used to, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
being on camera is a thing that it's a skill that like you can improve at and you can do better at it. And I think what happens a lot of the time is that people see other people like
Yeah.
thrive on camera, be natural, have fun, and like it looks like it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then when someone turns the camera on themselves for the first time, you feel super anxious, super self-conscious, and you essentially hate it. Like guaranteed you hate it. I
Hmm.
mean, some people don't, but vast majority of people hate it. And then I think all too often people are like, it's not for me. Like I don't
Yeah.
like it. I don't embrace it. And then they see people that like have been doing it for a long time and like really
Hmm.
relaxed having fun. They're like, I'm not that. I'm not like that. And they
Yeah.
cut themselves off. So, it was a thing that I had to get used to and a period of it being awkward. But like sort of recognizing like, okay, I know this is gonna be awkward. I know it's gonna feel cool. But if I want the career that I want, I need to figure out how to embrace this.
Yeah.
Especially because
You really have to be open to anything, right? So,
yeah,
especially things that you weren't really so comfortable with. And it just, you never know, it opens doors, right? So just go
yeah,
for
especially now in the way like media works, it's like I think we all basically an entertainer is on all sides of the camera now. It's like they're making
it.
their own content on social, they're being in it, they're producing stuff. And so it really is beneficial to share your personality in the work that you do.
Hmm.
So there was a good reason to get comfortable in front of the camera.
So, lastly, Cole, my question is very simple, but sometimes difficult to answer. Are you happy?
Yes, I will say I am happy. This is a question that uh, even someone like myself, who from the outside looking in is like, oh, everything, there's so much going on, and this is true, and this is all great. But it's a thing that we're always sort of like, again, navigating. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
well, you're always faced with the question of like, okay, well, what truly brings me happiness? And I think there's so much going on in my life that I'm like truly thankful for. And I do think that sort of like, I do think in some sense, like, it's just gonna sound I don't know, it's gonna sound not pretentious, but like I do think that like happiness is somewhat of a choice.
Mhm.
And I did believe this sort of before I found success, where it is a bit of a function of looking at your life and sort of appreciating what there is that is there that you can be
Mhm.
thankful for, or you're happy that you have. And trying to navigate that. And that isn't to say, like, while I do say, yes, I am happy, that isn't to say that every moment of my life is like full of joy. There's moments that
Mhm.
are quite difficult, and with whatever's going on from a cute standpoint or like from the broader standpoint that are challenging. And just like everything we've been talking, it's all a balance. And I
Yeah.
also think that like happiness is sort of like a bit of a yin and yang, where like it exists because there's also these other moments that are the opposite of that. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
like
yeah.
feeling truly happy and sort of appreciating it only really has context in moments of like that are in opposition to it, right? So I kind of believe that we should just like flow through those and
Mm.
experience like the highs and lows. You just want to kind of be on the um happy side at least 51% of the time, you know?
Right. Yeah. You can't be always 100% happy. There's just no
Yeah.
way. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Well,
And if you're
thank you.
and if you see someone like that, I'm like, they're faking it or
Yeah, it's not real.
hiding something serious back there, you know?
Yeah, it's
So
so true. Well, thank you so much for your time. Before I go, I typically do like rapid fire questions at the end. Do you mind? Just very
sure,
quickly.
sure.
Okay.
I'll try to
Cool.
answer succinctly here, but we'll see what I can do.
Rapid fire questions. Here we go. Top three albums on Spotify
Well, I am Apple Music, so
or
start there.
Apple Music.
Man, of all time. See, I'm just gonna labor this. I will say I've been listening to the new Drake and Party Next Door album. That's been fun. That just came out a couple days ago.
Okay.
But other than that, like long time playing albums is like, oh man, John Mayer Continuum. That album has been
Oh,
always my
yeah.
thing. And I'll say Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique, an old album that still gets rotation.
Okay. And three things that you miss the most in Canada.
Oh, uh, aside from family and friends,
Yeah.
the
Tell
grouse
me.
grind.
My gosh, I've done it. It's so
Because
fun.
yeah, I mean there are hikes out here in
Yeah,
LA, but I don't
I
know.
love
There's
it.
just something about the cold mountain air in
Yeah.
Vancouver that I appreciate.
And
Um,
when you get to the top, there's a bar.
yeah, exactly. And
You
then you
can-
just take the tram down and you're chilling. So that is quite
Yeah,
the experience. I miss that.
love
Um,
it.
I miss good fish and chips in Steveston,
Mhm.
in Richmond, where I'm from.
Mhm.
And well, I guess with food, poutine. There's no good poutine out here.
Now, have you been to the Fishman restaurant in Richmond?
Fishman. No, where is that?
It's in Richmond. I'll hook you up. I know the chef, but that is a place that you have to visit. Like the
Oh,
best seafood.
oh,
It's
I'm in.
incredible. Okay, your favorite restaurant, speaking of restaurants, your favorite restaurant in Toronto and Vancouver, one each.
Oh, Vancouver. Oh, well, Vancouver's easy. It's Ban Lao. So Ban Lao's fine dining,
Ooh,
Thai
yes. We were
food.
there. You were there recently, Chef
Yeah,
Nucha.
yes, yes. And it's unbelievable. So highly recommend.
Yeah.
Man, Toronto, I don't really think I have one that's like a go-to, to be honest.
Hmm.
I don't think I go there enough to really be like, oh yeah,
Right.
this
Okay, then. So what would be your top two in Vancouver?
Ben Lau, and then
A little bit more casual. What's like a casual place
and
that you?
Pajo's Fish and Chips on the water.
Oh,
Also,
yeah. Okay. Love
yeah.
it. And your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve? I mean, I don't know, people being annoying, but like what annoys me? Uh, I guess sort of like there's definitely things. There's
Okay.
definitely things. I can't even think of them. I mean, I don't know, there's so many things that annoy me. What can
Yeah.
what what can be one? I mean, like super I mean, yeah, like I guess dishonesty. That's
Okay.
we'll just
It's someone putting their feet up on the plane with bare feet.
oh yeah, okay, those types of things.
That's gross.
Well, it was like I was getting annoyed at the I was deboarding a plane and people were not paying attention in the thing, and I was
Oh,
like we're done, like go.
go.
Right
Yeah,
there.
pay attention.
Yeah.
And so going from, what annoys you, but what would you say that people would say that annoys them about you? Do you have an annoying habit that pe bothers people?
I'm sure. I'm sure I do. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't. I know I can be like stubborn in the way I can be sort of like adamant or persistent to a fault, to an annoying level. Kind of
Mm,
like it's kind of stubborn, but like the very specific thing that I do is I don't think actually falls under stubbornness, but it's similar.
mm,
Whereas like if I sort of like decide I think about something a certain way, I mean this does sound like stubborn, but like I'll just be very adamant of the decision that I've made,
right.
and it can be annoying for sure.
And lastly, a celebrity that you would want to work with next for a dream project.
Oh, I mean, I just want to shoot Beyonce in the glamBOT. That's
Oh,
what.
all right. All
Yeah.
right. No, no, not just glamBOT, but like actual like collaboration.
I mean, well, then Beyonce on a non-glamBOT
That's true.
then.
So
Yeah.
Beyonce. We
Yeah,
got that.
Beyonce. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, well, thank you so much again, Cole, for, being our first guest on our podcast. Really appreciate you supporting and good luck with everything. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Luxury innovation and German engineering, Liebherr sets the standard for premium refrigeration. Designed for performance and precision, Liebherr appliances offer advanced cooling technology, sleek designs, and unmatched reliability. Whether it's for a wine storage solution, column-style cooling, built-in, freestanding, or under counter, Liebherr delivers the ultimate freshness experience for your kitchen. Discover the excellence of Liebherr refrigeration today. Visit ela.ca to learn more. Evolve Media offers premium video production services specializing in creating high-impact content for brands, events, and commercials. From concept to execution, we craft engaging visual narratives that resonate with your target audience. We have teams in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and Calgary. And in today's digital-first world, video content is more important than ever. It's the most effective way to capture attention, build brand loyalty, and drive conversions. You can email us at info@evolvemagazine.ca to get a custom quote. Thank you so much for watching and listening in. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to share with you our next guest. But for now, I hope you can follow and subscribe. Thanks for your support.